Thought Reflection 0521-26. What is the electric universe? For most of modern history, humanity has viewed the universe primarily through the lens of gravity. Gravity became the dominant explanation for how planets move, how galaxies form, and how large-scale structures interact across space. And while gravity clearly plays an important role in the cosmos, some researchers and thinkers began asking a deeper question. What if gravity is not the only major force shaping the universe? That question eventually led to what became known as the electric universe theory. The roots of these ideas stretch back further than many people realize. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, scientists began studying electrical activity in Earth's atmosphere and magnetosphere with increasing curiosity. One of the most important early figures was Christian Birkeland, who studied the auroras and proposed that charged particles from the sun interacted with Earth's magnetic field through enormous electrical currents flowing through space. His laboratory experiments attempted to recreate aurora-like effects using magnetized spheres and electrical discharges. Long before space exploration confirmed many of the electromagnetic interactions occurring around Earth. Later, Hannes Alfvén expanded many of these concepts through his pioneering work in plasma physics and magnetohydrodynamics. Alfvén believed that plasma behavior in space deserved far more attention in cosmology than it was receiving at the time. His work helped establish many foundational ideas about plasma interactions, magnetic fields, and electrical currents in space, eventually earning him the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1970. Alfvén repeatedly warned against building cosmological models that ignored the electrical behavior of plasma entirely. Over time, some researchers and independent thinkers began pushing these ideas even further. They questioned whether gravity alone could fully explain certain structures and behaviors observed throughout the universe. This eventually evolved into what became broadly known as the electric universe movement. At its core, the electric universe proposes that electricity and plasma may play a much larger role in the structure and behavior of the cosmos than mainstream science currently acknowledges. Supporters of the theory point out that plasma is believed to make up over 99% of the visible universe. Stars, nebulae, solar winds, lightning, auroras, and many large-scale cosmic structures all involve plasma and electromagnetic activity. Plasma itself behaves very differently from solids, liquids, or gases. Sometimes referred to as the fourth state of matter, plasma consists of charged particles that respond strongly to electromagnetic forces. Unlike neutral gases, plasma can self-organize into filaments, layers, cells, and dynamic structures that shift and interact continuously. Plasma can carry electrical currents across enormous distances and generate magnetic fields that influence surrounding matter and energy. As aviation and space exploration advanced, humanity also began discovering forms of large-scale electrical activity in Earth's upper atmosphere that earlier generations never knew existed. High-altitude pilots and later astronauts reported strange flashes, jets, and luminous plasma discharges occurring high above thunderstorms. Over time, these phenomena became known as sprites, blue jets, elves, and gigantic jets, enormous electrical events reaching upward into the upper atmosphere and near-space environment. Discoveries like these reinforce the realization that Earth itself exists inside a highly dynamic electromagnetic environment that humanity had only begun to observe directly. In this model, space is not viewed as empty and electrically inactive. Instead, it may be filled with enormous interconnected electrical systems operating across vast distances. Some supporters of the electric universe also view the solar system itself as a deeply interconnected electromagnetic environment centered around the sun. In conventional science, the sun's magnetic field and solar wind are already understood to extend far beyond the planets, forming a vast region known as the Heliosphere that surrounds the solar system like an enormous bubble within interstellar space. Interest in this idea increased even further when NASA's Voyager probes approached and eventually crossed the outer boundary regions of the heliosphere. As the probes moved toward interstellar space, scientists observed significant shifts in particle density, plasma behavior, and magnetic conditions near the edge of the sun's influence. To some, these transitions reinforce the idea that the solar system may behave less like isolated planets orbiting empty space and more like an interconnected electrical environment, extending outward from the sun itself. The electric universe also branches into hundreds of additional ideas, interpretations, and related theories surrounding plasma, magnetism, cosmology, planetary interaction, and the interconnected behavior of space itself. One of the central ideas within the electric universe is the concept of plasma filaments and Birkeland currents. These are enormous electrical currents believed to move through plasma across space, sometimes forming long thread-like structures that resemble the cosmic web observed between galaxies. Supporters argue that many structures in space appear filamentary, connected, and electrically organized rather than randomly distributed. One of the recurring ideas within electromagnetic models of the universe is the appearance of toroidal and filamentary structures throughout nature. Magnetic fields often organize themselves through looping, circulating flows that form torus-like patterns, from planetary magnetic fields to plasma behavior observed in both laboratory experiments and cosmic phenomena. To supporters of the electric universe, these repeating electromagnetic structures suggest that the universe may be far more electrically interconnected and dynamically organized than humanity once assumed. The theory also explores the possibility that stars themselves may behave more like electrical nodes within a larger cosmic circuit, rather than isolated nuclear furnaces existing independently from their surroundings. Some proponents even suggest that galaxies may exchange energy electrically across immense distances through plasma networks woven throughout space itself. Whether those larger claims are ultimately correct remains highly debated, and mainstream astrophysics strongly disagrees with many conclusions drawn by electric universe proponents. But even critics acknowledge that plasma and electromagnetic behavior are absolutely real and active throughout the universe. The universe suddenly starts feeling less like disconnected objects floating through dead, empty space, and more like an interconnected process filled with movement, energy, interaction, and flow. That does not necessarily mean the electric universe explains everything, but it does challenge the older perception of space as passive, empty, and inert. Instead, reality begins to look far more alive and interconnected. Perhaps electricity itself is not the entirety of reality, but one layer operating within a much larger system. Just like matter may be a layer, just like consciousness may be a layer. The human body itself is made up of layers and systems that together create the whole. So perhaps reality functions similarly. Maybe the electrical behavior of the universe is one important operating system within a much larger architecture of existence. And if that is true, then humanity may still be in the early stages of understanding how the layers of existence interact together to create what we call reality. Haggis, my esoteric journey.